Hello everybody, I am SKU11Z, and I'm here today finally to show off my little deck profile for a deck I've been playing online during quarantine, and a deck I plan to play once it's all cleared up and my usual game store opens back up. I'm going to be showing you two of my favorite archetypes that I combined and built this deck up from scratch, and I've been hoping to play and show off because I built this basically from scratch. Maybe I didn't pull everything, but everything I have made up until now, I had to build upon, like ratios and whatnot, because this isn't your regular deck. This is just something that I built and thought would be a good idea. So this is Phantom Knight Shaddolls, and we're going to start with the main deck. Of course, we're going to start with the monsters. I'm not sure if my head was in frame. We're gonna start with the monsters. Shaddolls, Quamata. We got the decks Foolish Burial, once sent with Shaddoll Fusion or any other fusion card, plus the flip effect of destroying a monster is really good. I usually don't set them. It rarely comes up, but if I do set them, hey, I get a monster pop. Next, we got two Shaddoll Beasts. Usually the monster I send off of Shaddoll Squamata just for a free draw. Once again, the flip effect I have used only a handful of times to really justify talking about it that much. Two Reshaddoll Windy. I used to play this at 3, but I just felt as if other cards could make the deck better than playing 3 of these. Of course, it is just a summon off fusion or flipping, but I just think it would be better at 3 in something like a pure Shaddoll deck instead of what I have made. Two Shaddoll Dragon for back row removal and compulsing cards. One Shaddoll Aerial for basically the DD Crow 3 cards. And one Shaddoll Hedgehog for searching anything in your deck depending on how you summon it or send it to the graveyard. Next, we're going to do the Phantom Knight monsters. We have 3 Silent Boots. It's just what I usually use when I fuse a Shaddoll monster and a Dark monster. Banish it for Pogblade. And with the newest addition to the deck, I maybe even the plus more off of the banishing. 2 Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. Most people have been playing this at 3, but that's mainly in pure Phantom Knights decks, whereas with my deck, this wouldn't be as live as often than, say, something with a pure Phantom Knight build. So next, we have 2 Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak, another Searcher off Banishing, and I just feel as if it's one of the better Phantom Knights over something like Rugged Gloves, because with Rugged Gloves, all you really get is a attack point boost, but I guess it could be argued the Banish to send another Phantom Knight card from your deck is really good, but once again, this isn't a pure Phantom Knight build, so we can't really justify it. Now, really, the forced one-ofs I've put in place, Armageddon Knight, and Performance Crit Clown for Construct. Wyverburster, this is an odd one for some because I don't play the Collapse Serpent. This is another Construct, basically fodder, and as well as a free summon because most of my deck is dark, so if I want to go into something like a rank 4 play, I can just banish any card really and summon White Dragon Wyverburster. People probably will critique me and yell at me, oh, you need to play Collapse Serpent. Yeah, I'm sure I do. And finally, Keeper of Dragon Magic as another way to get the Shaddoll Fusion if I don't pull it in my opening hand. I would bump this up in any other fusion deck, but with the hyper consistency I already have to fusion, this is just mainly a backup plan, if anything. Now, for the spell lineup, we have 3 Shaddoll Fusion. We all know what that does. 3 Elf Shaddoll Fusion for getting a window out really on your opponent's turn, or if I do decide to ever play any of the other Shaddoll Fusions, say against a certain deck matchup. 2 Super Poly. I only run 2 instead of 3 because it's not as live as often as most people think, especially when I only have 1 Super Poly. All I have in hand is a Super Poly and nothing else. 1 Rhoda for all my warriors like Armageddon Knight and of course the Phantom Knights. 1 Foolish, and 1 Pot of Avarice. Avarice, I've been thinking about maybe bumping it up, but even with 1 copy, I had the luck of having it in my first hand, so it's dead until I put my entire deck into the graveyard, really. Now for the trap lineup, first we'll start with the Phantom Knights traps. 3 Fog Blade to just shut down your opponent. 1 Phantom Knight Shade Brigandine. I've been thinking about cutting this for something else, like a card I have in my side deck, I'll show you later, that I may just full on take this out, because even though its effect to just activate itself is on the turn you summon it, is sometimes live. With how quickly I'm able to get stuff into the graveyard, it's just, it doesn't come up as much as I think it will. And to round out Phantom Knight traps, we have 1 Phantom Knight Sword. I used to play Wing, but I feel the Sword's a lot better because of the attack boost, and it's basically the same thing where you're not destroyed once, and I feel like even though attack boosting isn't that important in this, it's more of a control deck if anything, it's still there. For the 2 Shaddoll traps, we have 1 Shaddoll Incarnation for sending off of Construct to get into a 1-card Boral Sword essentially, and 1 Shaddoll Schism for another way to get to Winda on your opponent's turn. Now for the extra deck, we have for the fusions 2 Winda and 2 Construct and 1 Apcolone. Apcolone is one of those cards where it's very good, but with how many times I really get to summon it, I don't know if I should cut it for something that'd be summoning more often or to keep it like this. But it's always just another option if I have just like a Wendy and another Shaddoll in my hand. For my Super Poly targets, we have Starving Venom Fusion, Mudragon Swamp. Just Super Poly targets are just what they are. For my Xyz, we have 1 Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Many people will argue that there are several other better rank 4 plays to go into, but I personally am I feel attached to this card a little bit, and it's just, if I really need it, it's just a big beater. Which, sure, Shaddoll Construct is a really good monster to attack with, but it's just another easy way to get in damage, other than the other OTK we have in the extra deck. 1 Phantom Knight's Break Sword, because I feel as if you need to play this in any Phantom Knights build, really. Because it's just, not a free pop, but it's just a pop, and you can send stuff to the graveyard like another Phantom Knight. We have and now I call my Game Stealer number 47, Nightmare Shark. This is basically my pseudo cowboy, because even though it doesn't burn, if I'm able to just summon this out while my opponent has less than or equal to 2,000 life points, I can just summon this out, activate its effect to target itself, and then just punch for a game. That rounds out the Xyz lineup. I may expand it depending on how the game changes. Now for the links, we have 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardici. Yes, I'm going to say it like that. 1 Topologic Transmania for another way to hate the back row, especially against stuff like Eldritch that's still kind of active right now. 1 Zeraboros, another way to just banish your opponent's entire field, but my biggest problem with Zeraboros is it's not really something you want to make on your first turn. If anything, it's a later in the game, so you're able to just, if your opponent's running something that's just solely graveyard strategy, if they need to send stuff to the grave, you just get them to banish it all. And finally, the OTK Master Boral Sword. I actually do plan to change this out for the new Gold Series one, which I think looks beautiful. Now, the side deck, even though it will depend on the meta and how the game is played, and I really don't know how to build a side deck, it will look a bit odd to more experienced players, but I still want to show it off as a way to say, hey, I do have a side deck in case the need comes up. We have 1 Nibiru, because that's literally all I own. Maybe when I get my gold box, which I'll open on the channel, maybe I'll pull another Nibiru, but for now, all we have is the 1. Better than none, you know what they say. 1 Solemn Strike. I'm going to say this right now. A lot of this is from Dual Devastator, and I only bought 1 box of that, so you can roast me in the comments if you really want to. 1 The Phantom Knights of Mistclaws, if I believe in Game 2, Brigadine's just not being as active as it was in, say, like Game 1. But Mistclaws is just a great way to get, like, say, a banished Silent Boots onto the field as well as him, because he can go into a rank 3 quite easily. We had the staple Dino Wrestler Prankertops. There can be only 1. a Cosmic Cyclone. I do want to bump this up because of how Eldritch has really taken over the format in a way. I've heard it's not seeing as much play, but it's still just with how many spells and traps can plus off of being sent to the graveyard. I think it'd be a better choice. Raigeki, there's another card. I'm sorry, I've debated on taking out because destroying all your opponent's monsters is not as useful as it used to be. One red reboot for Backroad, and really it's forced because ban list. And the weirdest card that people have been like asking me, why the heck do you have this? Battle Fusion. Say I want to attack with Windy, what I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but if I attack with Winda, I can just activate this and punch for a lot more than I should have. Kind of like the pseudo honest of this deck, if you think about it. And 2 Twin Twisters for more back row, say like Stun, if anyone really plays that. 2 Dark Roll No More for those pesky combo decks that think they can build whatever they want. And 2 Lost Wind, because frick your extra deck. Now, I do want to show off a little bit of what I usually can do with this deck. I'm not going to just hand test or anything, but I'll show you the main play that I try to do. Now, they can go first or second, but many people say, oh, it's more of a going second deck because you want to activate Shaddoll Fusion while your opponent has an extra deck monster, which I totally understand. But the main goal for me is to get 2 certain cards onto the field, because in a way it does soft lock the opponent into trying to work around it. So first we have Fogblade and Winda. A lot of decks nowadays, with how they work, with Winda having only being allowing 1 special summon, what I would do, summon Winda with a set Fogblade, and once they special summon, or after they normal summon, they try to special summon, activate the Fogblade on the special summon monster, so they can't really do much else. They're only locked into that monster, and it can't attack. Some decks this doesn't hinder, but those are very few. A lot of decks just can't, in my opinion, can't really deal with that. Say, I will be doing a profile on all my decks. Some better than others, some are just for fun, some are I actually do want to be competitive with. This is one that I really do want to bring to a competitive, event. But let's, I don't know about Virtual World. I need to watch more videos on that, but say Dragon Link. With Winda and this on board, the second they try to summon Striker Dragon, I just flip that. They don't get the search for Boot Sector launch, and all they have is a Striker Dragon on board. Of course, this depends on their hand and what can really happen, but that's the main goal. Another interesting thing, I talked about the 1 card Boral Sword for going second plays. Shaddoll Fusion into, I believe, Construct. Can't remember. Then with Construct, you want to send Squamata. Hold on. Squamata, and of course Trick Clown, and revive Trick Clown with its ability. And we have 2 monsters on board. Use Construct to send. We're gonna go with use Construct to send Shaddoll Incarnation. Squamata will send something like Wendy. I can't remember how the play goes off the top of my head. Face up. Kind of making a fool of myself because I haven't really done this combo as much as I like to admit I have. But I don't want to just say you guys kind of understand what I'm doing, because I barely understand what I'm doing. But the main goal is to just get out using Construct and the Shaddoll cards themselves to try and get out. Let's see. It was send Shaddoll's Incarnation. Then just one finish found. Squamata, send Wendy. Wendy summons a monster and face. And oh yeah, okay. Wendy summons Ariel and face down position. You banish Shaddoll Incarnation and Squamata and activate to flip Ariel. Aerial Summon Squamata. Then you get all these. Sorry. Then you get all these. And Temporal Sword. And with Construct engraved, you can just add Shaddoll Fusion back for your next turn. Now, I'm not going to admit that I'm the best player or a good player at all, but that is what I hope to achieve with this deck. Hopefully, I can grow on it, and hopefully, you guys can maybe give me pointers, because honestly, I'm okay with critique, always will be. But thank you for watching, and I hope to duel any one of you soon.